Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhyan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of the internal success of foreigners and expats who have made Philippines their home. Today we have two guests. One of them, Roger T. Simone, Executive Director of Society for Organizational Learning. He has been in the Philippines for the last 6 years and he teaches Qigong. My second guest, Pankaj Rajput from India, also from Colombia, is the director of a business discipline school called Sahaja Yoga Foundation, teaches yoga. So based on our guests, our theme tonight is mind-body practices. So welcome to Expat Insights, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So give us a background on who you are and what brings you to the Philippines. Roger, yeah?
Sure. I'm from Hawaii, and my original background was in traditional or Western medicine, particularly hyperbaric
You're a doctor?
medicine.
You're a doctor?
Physician by training, also a researcher. But I ended up always being interested in traditional or folk medicines, ethno-medicine. And about midway through my career, I ended up with a life-threatening illness.
Which was?
Cancer.
Okay.
Malignant melanoma. And what it did for me was it gave me an opportunity to study traditional Chinese medicine. And in that practice, when I was apprenticing, I had to practice Qigong every day. I had already had some training in martial arts, but I really found benefit from the mind-body practice known as Sheng Qigong, and that's really what I'm practicing and teaching today.
What is malignant melanoma?
Malignant melanoma. It's just a fancy name for a nasty skin cancer.
Oh, all right, okay. And so who recommended Qigong to you? Did your doctors recommend or did you just choose to?
Well, you know, it's actually a very funny story. I had a friend and we got diagnosed with the same disease at the same time by the same doctor in the same hospital. And he sort of followed the traditional medical approach. I just had surgery and then chose to go down a non-traditional approach, which was traditional Chinese medicine. And you know, unfortunately, 3 years later, he had passed away, and you know,
your friend?
Yeah. And I had, I've been able to, you know, survive this cancer, conquer it, if you will, and to this day, I'm now very much focused on teaching and sharing this with other cancer victims.
What helped you? Pankaj, what brought you to the Philippines, and give us a background on yourself.
I'm Pankaj Rajput. I'm basically from Mumbai, India. Mumbai means in Philippines people mistake it by 5-6, but I'm an IT guy. Okay, I'm practicing Sahaja Yoga since 1988. So since last 22 years I'm doing it, and I've seen the benefit of Sahaja Yoga a lot. I even
Sahaja Yoga.
Yes.
Sahaja. What does it mean?
Sahaja Yoga is a simple practice. Okay, and if you define Sahaja Yoga, it's Saha means born with. Okay, or it's known as spontaneous also. Okay, and yoga, whenever you talk about yoga, people mistake it by asanas or exercises and everything, whereas yoga really means union or connection. Okay, so Sahaja Yoga is a simple yoga practice where you don't need to do any extreme exercises, where you can just sit down on the chair or on your bed and can practice your meditation technique.
Before we go into the depths of both the schools of mind-body practices that you gentlemen practice or profess, give me a little idea on what brought you and made you choose Philippines as your home. Why Philippines, and what do you love about it?
Yeah, actually I was invited by one of my colleagues, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, to start Sahaja Yoga here in the Philippines.
Oh, you came for the purpose of starting Sahaja Yoga. Okay.
Yes, and he said that we need some expert practitioners who can help Sahaja Yoga to be practiced by Filipinos also. So for that reason I'm here, and we are giving classes of Sahaja Yoga completely free of charge.
Wow.
Right, and it's I've seen a lot of benefits being taken by Filipinos after practicing Sahaja.
What do you like about this country?
Philippines is like Philippines is more like an Indian people,
Yeah.
and they are very warm, they are very loving people, and they are very friendly also. You can talk with them very closely, not like in Colombia where it was a bit difficult. Right? Yeah, and I have
Was
been
that
to-
language or that was attitude?
no. It's different because I had to, when I went to Colombia, it is a Spanish-speaking country.
So it was the challenge was language
Yes,
or
I guess.
attitude?
Yeah, somewhat.
Both.
Both, yes.
Okay.
And I started learning Spanish there in Colombia, and I learned it within 2 or 3 months. And then I started, I worked in IT in Colombia also. And side by side, we used to give Sahaja yoga classes to military schools.
In Bogota.
Colombia,
In Bogota.
Yeah. Right. And also in the small schools and colleges in Colombia. So even if we did many Sahaja yoga stress management programs in corporate offices, and we have seen that people really are very open to it.
Roger, what do you like about the Philippines, and how does it benefit you being here?
Well, it's very similar to my home state of Hawaii.
Okay.
The people are very similar, very warm.
Yeah.
What really brought me here was my wife. She's Filipina of Chinese
You met her in
descent.
Hawaii?
I actually met her in California at a
Oh.
training conference, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And turns out her father was involved with Sheng Qigong, and I had been practicing Qigong. So he wanted to do a healing center. I wanted to do a healing center, and came out here and started visiting. And
Oh, so you put up the foundation.
yes, we put they have a family foundation that ended up
Oh,
putting
okay.
up the Good Chi Circle
Yeah.
Center in Legazpi, which is where we teach our Sheng Qigong.
Great, good to have you here, gentlemen, and welcome to the Philippines. Of course, I'm not the authority or the mayor of this country, so I can't really give you the key to it. But welcome, and I'm glad you like it. Define for me now, give me a big picture on all these practices, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, Qigong, so many forms of yoga, Vikram yoga, Blessed yoga, yoga for life, Hatha yoga. What is all this, and why are there so many varieties? So maybe, Roger, you want to go first and give me a huge picture for, it's like mind-body practices for dummies, yeah?
Sure. There's, in my view, this really started back in the 70s and 80s when, in the U.S. that is, when we started doing scientific studies on the benefits of yoga practitioners, of meditation practitioners, and
Of
Qigong.
all these esoteric
Yes,
practices,
yes.
okay?
And some of the original work was done by a guy named Herbert Benson, and he was really trying to distill what is similar between all of these mind-body
Which
practices.
is the same question that I raised, he raised it 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in essence, there were certain physical benefits that we got
All
that
right.
seemed to be universal. So there was a reduction in stress.
Yeah.
There was certain health benefits. Usually the medications that one was taking would be reduced, that one had a sense of well-being,
Yeah.
emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And in some instances, people also have a stronger spiritual connection as a result of the practice.
All right, 1 minute for
Yes.
you. We'll
Yeah.
be coming to a break. So,
Okay.
what's your big picture view of mind-body practices?
Sahaja yoga, if you will say yoga, before it was very difficult to practice because people have to really control their body and senses, and to control the mind is the most difficult thing. So people wanted to have peace in the mind, but you cannot get the peace in the mind unless and until there should be a real activity which has to happen within our system. So during the years of 1970, there was a great seeking of the people towards the yoga, and because of this, people started trying to find out some way or another to free themselves from stress or something.
Oh, so
related to
your
that.
point of view is that after the love peace, the hippie era, people
Yes.
tried to look for meaning with a scientific reasoning.
It was
behind
during that hippie area also. What are hippies? Hippies were also looking for the truth, and since they were not getting the truth, they took to drugs, right? And that is the one because if you are seeking something other than the money and the power and all this, then
Yeah.
there is something else a person is seeking. That is
Yeah.
the eternal peace. So
Right.
they were looking for it, and Sahaja Yoga was also started in 1970.
Okay, great. Let's
Yes.
take that break for a few minutes and then we'll come back and go into the depths of each of these practices that you profess. No?
Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen, we are still with Pankaj and Roger over here. We're talking about mind-body practices and we are on Expat Insights. Stay with us. We'll be back in a minute.
Okay, I'm going to sit down. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, take a breath, get in meditation pose.
Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhyan. That little clip you saw me is a clip of a friend of mine, and that's what happens to me when I try to do yoga and meditate. So let's ask you gentlemen, how do you beat the system and how do you really do yoga well or meditate well or do Qigong well? Roger, how do you get into it? I mean, where's the magic behind it?
Okay. Well, with Shenzhen Qigong, first I think you have to understand the meaning of what is Qigong. Qi is life force, prana, energy, ki, or mana. Gong is the practice or cultivation or
Three
exchange.
words for the same thing? Three words, Qi, Ki and Mana?
Mana or prana.
Prana, okay.
Just different traditions have
Yeah.
a very similar idea. This is your life force or your vital energy.
Yeah.
Gong is the practice of exchange or cultivation. So Qigong is the practice of exchanging Qi with the universe.
Just management of energy.
Yes, cultivation would probably be
Cultivation
a
of-
better
nicer word,
term. And Shenzhen means roughly unconditional love. So Shenzhen Qigong, the form that I practice,
The one that
is
you
a Qigong of unconditional love. And there's a very simple process that we do to lead yourself into the practice, which involves quieting your mind, relaxing your body, and allowing your breath to slow and deepen. And in that process, we can then go into the more advanced states where we open the heart and we experience and allow unconditional love to sort of flow with us, to allow the Qi to flow more freely within our bodies and allow the Qi to be returned back to the universe. This process will bring you numerous health benefits, but mostly it's going to right away make you feel better, feel happier, and feel connected to nature, to the universe, and possibly even more connected to your spiritual practice.
You said quiet yourself first, then open your heart afterwards. How exactly does one open his heart? How exactly does one quiet his mind? Because when I sit down to meditate, I really think of, have I brushed my teeth? What am I going to have for breakfast? Will there be traffic on the streets? Is it going to rain tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do I have money in the bank and stuff like that? So that keeps going on in my mind. How do I stop that?
Yeah. The process in Shenzhen Qigong is intended to be very natural. There is going to be naturally recurrent thoughts, but the trick is to allow those thoughts to come into the mind and flow out without judgment or without concern. In some instances and in some traditional mind-body practices, we will bring our thought back to a concept or a picture or a mantra. In our practice, we just return to the breath.
So you focus on something so that you're not focusing on the other chaos that occurs in your mind. Is that what it is?
That
so
is.
It could be breathing, it could be a picture, or
Yes. In general, in mind-body practices. In Shenzhen Qigong, we're not trying to empty the mind of thoughts completely, although that would be a nice ideal state. We're not trying to not think, because we will always have
we
thought.
will always think. Yeah, we will be
But
thinking
it
about
is-
not thinking.
It is about us not being so attached to the thoughts, not being having a reaction to it, and just allowing the process to occur naturally, of inwardly reflecting and allowing thoughts to flow in and out of the mind.
So-
You
so-
usually want to steer yourself back to something, and in our instance, we will usually be bringing our attention back to our breathing.
Right, right. So you don't huff and puff behind a thought. You don't like growl over a thought. You just let it come, and then you bring your attention back to something. That's how you quiet your mind.
Yes.
Your take on this, Pankaj, is that similar in Sahaja Yoga?
Sahaja Yoga is not, as I told you before, that it's not a physical exercise as such. Okay, it is depending on the desire of a human being to evolve. Okay, And Sahaja Yoga is a simple technique of meditation. And when you talk about meditation, you want to silence your mind. You cannot silence your mind because the mind is full of thoughts.
Same thing what
Right.
Roger was saying.
Okay, so there are two types of thoughts. One which is pertaining to our past, and one which is pertaining to our future. So a human being is always, thinking of either of the past or the future, and because of this, it creates a pendulum within our mind, and you either think of past or either think of future. But when you come for the meditation, you should enjoy the present. Right? So when you come to the present, you become automatically stress-free because you are not in the stress of the past or the future. So as you said that you drive a car, even you're driving the car and for reaching the office, you're still stressed. Right? Because you are planning for the future at that time. But if you enjoy that present moment, you will drive very naturally. And you will,
Instead of worrying about, oh, I'm getting late, or what am I going to do in the meeting, or will I be able to make that phone call, or will I receive that phone call, instead of worrying about that, I enjoy the steering wheel and the gear and the shifts and the clutch. Is that?
You enjoy your driving.
You be present.
You're present there, right? Okay. And normally, whenever a person lacks concentration, it is because of this that we are not in the
either
present.
In the future or in the past.
Yes, right.
Oh, amazing.
So Sahaja Yoga is something where our internal energy, which is known as Kundalini, which is based in our spinal cord, that energy which is Kundalini, once it gets awakened and it passes through our 6 centers, subtle centers, when it comes to the 7th center, you feel automatically peace.
Can you speak English? What is Kundalini?
Kundalini is an energy which is born with us. Okay, when we are in our mother's womb, around 2 months old, at that time there is a divine energy which comes into this little child, and it creates the whole subtle system.
Soul, no?
It's a soul, different.
Spirit,
soul and that's different. So that energy which comes and sits in our sacrum bone. Now, why it is that it is a sacrum bone? Because the Greeks knew that there is something sacred within a human being, and that sacrum bone is our coccyx itself. Okay, and
this is going a little too deep. Slow down on me. Could you give it a doctor's perspective on this? What does this mean? When you also mentioned energy, now he's talking of energy being in a certain location.
Yes.
Well, what about not energy? What me as a host of the show? I'm not energy. I'm just meat and bones. What if that's the case?
Well, everyone's energy. Everything is energy. I think there's subtle differences between the form of Qigong, Sheng Qigong, which is sometimes referred to as Chinese yoga, and in the Kundalini system. But there are a lot of similarities in that we believe that this life force, this energy, travels up and down the body between various points. In Sheng Qigong, we talk about the Dantian, our center or storage of energy. Dantian, which is here below the navel.
Okay.
But these are just terminology. But in fact, the energy will travel, and when we do the meditative practice, we allow the energy to rise in the body, and then we can allow it to come back. There are different techniques, but in Sheng Qigong, there's this idea of moving meditation. This goes, I want to bring it back to a question you asked earlier, which is how do you quiet the mind? Well, sometimes when you really are struggling with thoughts of the past or the future, doing some form of gentle moving meditation the movement allows you to become distracted and allows you to enter into a more
brings
quiet
your conscious mind to
a more quieter state. But we also have a non-moving form of Sheng Qigong, which is called the Dongtian Ichi, which is a seated meditation. So
Dongtian Ichi?
Dongtian Ichi. And if you were to look at two people, one practicing a yogic meditation practice and one practicing a Chinese practice like Sheng Qigong, you would look at the two and you wouldn't notice anything different there. And in many ways, there's a lot of parallels and similarities into the practice of what they're thinking about. Just different terms to describe different parts of the body.
Yeah.
And maybe there's slightly different interpretations on what one is thinking or not. But the goals are very similar. Empty the mind, relax the body, allow the energy to flow.
Let me ask you a big question here, something that usually concerns the ignorant of, not the ignorant, people who are unaware of such practices, whether they be yoga 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Tai Chi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Qigong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there any religious push anywhere between what you do? Are you trying to promote a certain kind of a belief system upon me? Is there any subtle influence from where you come from? And if it is, what is it? I mean, what takes priority? The push or the benefits?
Okay. When we talk about religion, okay, religion is based on belief. Okay, but when you talk about yoga, yoga is based on actual experience. Okay, so you are not believing on something which we have not seen yet. Okay,
so it's a practice.
It's really a practice, and it's based on really an experience. Okay, and what is an experience? When you get a yoga, when you get a connection, you can feel cool or warm breeze in base of your palm. Also, you can feel cool or warm breeze on top of your head, right?
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Right, and it's very spontaneous. You cannot be forced to take that realization. What is a realization? Realization is to realize yourself that you are the spirit, right? And what is all the religion talking about is to know the truth. Okay, how can you know the truth?
So there is no push.
There
so
is no
you're
push.
saying there is no,
Yes.
there's no promotion of
Yes,
it.
no.
Roger, how about
Shenzhen Qigong is very much similar. It is a mind-body practice. We are focusing on aligning our mind, our hearts, and our bodies.
Yeah.
It has a very physical aspect to it, but in fact, in the original teachings called Shenzhen Wujiwang Gong, we actually pay honor to the different prophets. So there is a form of Shenzhen Qigong called Jesus City. And then there is a form.
I have a picture of you that says Jesus standing Qigong. I have no idea what that means. You have something like that, yeah?
Yeah, they're just different forms of movement-based practice, and some of them are acknowledging either Lao Tzu, Muhammad,
Lao Tzu is a Chinese philosopher.
Chinese philosopher involved with Taoism.
Yeah.
Jesus, Hanuman. So there's many different movement-based practices that pay respect to or pay honor to, but the practice of Shenzhen Qigong is not about religion and not imparting any particular belief system on something. It's a personal philosophy of living one's life, of being quiet and being still and being connected to the universe, opening one's heart and sharing that energy.
So rituals like shaving your head or wearing an orange garb or putting a little band with black beads on your forehead means nothing. They're just fashion.
Correct. That's
Sure
correct.
about that?
That's correct.
Because I get concerned if people say practice yoga and shave off your head, so that won't work.
No, because it's only an external change, external transformation. You have to transform
So
from
you can look like a Wall Street broker and
Yes,
still practice yoga or
That's
Qigong.
correct. That's correct.
Okay. Now, how does one bring this? How do I make this a living thing for myself? If I am from Wall Street and I'm a broker and my life is all messed up, how do I strike a balance? Using any of the, I don't want to call it technique. You call it a technique or a discipline?
It's a technique.
It's a technique too?
It's called a practice or a discipline.
So how does one bring it to mainstream life? I mean, an ordinary person. You recovered from skin cancer?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. And so how do I make good use of it today, what you know?
Well, there's several different reasons people will be called to do a mind-body practice, such as Shenzhen Qigong, but usually it has something to wanting to be healthier, wanting to be happier, wanting to have less stress in one's life. When those opportunities present oneself, then you just really need to seek out a skilled practitioner and follow the practice and see whether or not that practice resonates for you. Does it work? Does it feel right? And there are many, many different types of Qigong, I guess, as there are many types of yoga. The goal is to find something that works for you, that resonates with you, that allows you to relax, to reduce the stress in your life, to feel healthier and to feel happier.
If you are a Wall Street guy and if you are completely stressed, you need a peace of mind.
Obviously,
Okay,
obviously,
right? And by thinking, the Wall Street figures are not going to change. Okay, so what you need is to sit down, calm yourself, right, and try to contact some Sahaja yoga practitioner. He can help you to instantly get completely peace. Instantly.
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 Okay.
Okay, because it's spontaneous. So when this energy passes through the 6 centers, which I am telling you again.
I have a
Right.
picture, I will show
Yes.
it, that you brought, and
Right.
we will show that to be as we close the
Yes.
show. We'll talk about the
Right.
6 centers, but finish explaining
Yes.
this to me.
So once this energy passes through the 7 centers, it crosses our mind, which
Right.
is our brain,
Yeah.
and you come to the present.
Yeah.
So you are not thinking, right, and you are completely free of stress, because of the thinking, all this ego and superego comes down on your shoulder, and you get completely stressed. That is the start of a problem of a human being.
Wait, what is ego and superego? What does that come down?
There are 2 balloons within a human being, human brain, and these are the two
left brain and right brain?
Left brain and the right brain.
Okay.
Yes, and it is hard to believe unless and until you practice it, because Sahaja Yoga is not based on belief; it is based on actual experience.
So can any one of you like cool me down
Yes.
instantly? Can you? We're about to come for a cool. That's the picture. That's the picture.
Yes, yes,
of this? Can either of you like cool me down in 1 minute? Is it
yes,
possible?
I
for you
can
to
help you. If you will see this picture, this is a human subtle system,
Yeah.
and within the human subtle system, you will find that there is a sacrum bone which is blinking right now, which is a sacrum bone, sacred,
Oh,
and
that's-
within that there is an energy which is Kundalini, which is slowly passing through
Yeah.
7 centers.
Yeah. Okay.
Now these 7 centers, once it is awakened, once it is unblocked, then our Kundalini
Oh, there I see a
crosses the
lotus.
7th center.
Right.
This is the lotus, and all these chakras gives us different qualities. Like the first center is
Yeah.
represented in our hand, in the base of our palm,
Yeah.
right? The second center is here,
Yeah.
right? The third center is represented here.
Yeah.
So you can diagnose your own problem. You don't need to go to doctor if you know what is the problem within you.
So if I have a
you can
financial
experience-
challenge, it could be in my thumb.
this is the center
Yeah.
of the Nabi. This is the one which gives a sense of satisfaction. Now this can be represented in this finger, the left side and the right finger.
Okay.
So it's a self-diagnosis.
So we'll take it up. We'll take it up, and as we close, could either of you like cool me down for
Yeah,
a minute?
I can do it.
You can do it.
Right.
How about you, Roger? Can you?
Sure.
Oh, let's
Okay.
give Roger a chance.
Okay, fine.
Let's do Qigong style.
Okay. So what I
What do you do?
recommend is you just close your eyes.
We can take a break as they cool me down, right? So we can shut it off. Ready, sir? Ready.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
And allow your
do
body.
I sit up? Do I sit up? Deep breath. Take off
Yeah.
shoes. Nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Just sit comfortably, feet are shoulder width apart.
Yeah.
Hands can be resting at your side or
Right.
on your knees. You close your eyes and you allow your body to completely relax from head to toe, from inside to out.
Take a deep breath or no?
No. When the body's relaxed, our chi will flow easier. Next, we quiet our minds. We calm our thoughts. Let go of any worries about the past or the future. Just focus on being happy and present in this moment, enjoying this quiet-minded practice. Next, you can bring your attention to your breathing, allowing the breath to slow and deepen. You feel the cool air moving into the lungs, all the way down to the diaphragm. As you breathe deeper, you feel the breath moving all the way down to the level of the abdomen. And as you breathe even deeper still, the breath will move all the way down to that area below the navel where we will store or warehouse our chi, the lower dantian. When we combine these 3 steps, relaxed body, quiet mind, slowed and purposeful breathing. We enter into a very restful state, a very tranquil state, a healing state known as the Qigong state of mind. Gently open your eyes and follow me for the Dongtian movement. Ready? Begin. 1, hands come up, prayer position, Dongtian. 2, blow gently to cleanse the hands. 3, your left hand will come above your forehead, the right hand below the navel. And on a count of 4, you bring the left hand down, symbolically cleansing and connecting the mind, the body, the soul, with heaven, with earth, with ourselves and all of mankind. Hands come to rest in our lap, left over right, thumbs touching to form a circle.
All right.
Okay.
We'll come back and we'll talk to Roger and Pankaj more about mind-body practices. Stay with us. This is Expat Insights. So welcome back to Expat Insights. I feel slightly emancipated after that 1-minute exercise with Roger over here. I'm a little cool here. So Roger and Pankaj, no? How often do I have to do this, and how many days must I continue? Is it a course or it's a lifetime practice? Pankaj.
Okay. Sahaja Yoga was founded by Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi in the year 1970.
Founded?
Yes, founded.
Not discovered, not
discovered.
invented.
It's founded by Shri Mataji. Previously, yoga used to be very secret knowledge.
Before
and
70s?
Before yes,
70s, yeah.
yes. And the knowledge of Kundalini was very much as a secret kept, and nobody wanted to even tell to anyone. So Shri Mataji
nobody wanted to bring it out to the
bring
fore.
it out,
Yeah.
and nobody knew really how to do really the practice of yoga. So Shri Mataji found out that people need to be connected with the divine power or divine source or Parama Chaitanya or the something which is we know as a God. Okay, so Shri Mataji found it that the raising of the Kundalini was a very slow movement. It used to take the human being to reach this
Let me just, Kundalini means, what is the Chinese word did you use?
Qi.
No, you use Danti.
Well, Dantian is just one, is equivalent to
So
one of the
it's a spot.
chakras.
It's
one
a
of the
location.
chakras.
It's a physical location.
Kundalini is actually an energy which travels from our base of our spinal cord and crossing it to the 7 senses.
Goes out and up
Yes.
into the sky through
Right.
the lotus.
So-
What is, hang on, just before you go into the history, what is the relevance of the lotus? Because Sheng, the pictures you send me also has a lotus, and you also talk about a lotus. So what's the connection, lotus and a head?
Yeah. If you will see the chakras are small.
Chakras, as you mean nerve centers. Okay.
Chakras are plexus.
Sorry?
Plexus.
Plexus.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are 7
Like
important.
solar plexus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it starts with pelvic plexus. Then
Yeah.
there's
That's
we have
Kundalini?
aortic plexus. No.
Yeah.
Kundalini is completely different from the plexus.
Mhm.
Right. So Kundalini goes to different plexuses, and when it passes through, it repairs those plexus. So once it awakens slowly and steadily, it will go to that particular place and see if there is any problem. It will repair it and cross to the second center. Likewise, Sahaja Yoga, through the practice of Sahaja Yoga, you raise your Kundalini every now and then. So you are repairing your inner systems every day, in every meditation. So what happens when you start practicing the energy of the Kundalini, once it is awakened, you experience self-realization. That means you can feel your own self. That means you can feel your spirit within you if you practice it.
So through the practice, through the discipline of the body,
Yes.
you cool the mind,
Yes,
or you control the mind.
Yes.
That's the process.
Right.
So instead of mind body, this time it's body mind.
Yes.
Well, the question is, how often must I do this, and how long do I have to do or to acquire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally, it's very simple. If you have 2 to 5 minutes in the morning, 2 to 5 minutes in the evening, even in your lunch break, you can practice Sahaja Yoga. It's just that you need first awakening of the Kundalini. So what a human being has to do is to have that desire. And first of all, in the Sahaja Yoga meditation posture, you have to just put both of the hands open. right, to receive that energy. And just raise your inner principle within us by saying, Mother, please give me my self-realization.
Why mother?
Mother is our maternal energy, which is known as Kundalini.
Oh, it's a female energy.
Yes,
it's
it's
like
a female
yin and
energy.
yang.
Yes, right. Whereas the spirit is the paternal energy. Kundalini is our maternal energy. So we raise our Kundalini like 7 times or 8 times. It does not matter. You raise it. Once that energy is awakened, and if you are following me, if you do it yourself like this,
You do like this?
Mother, yes,
Yeah.
slowly, you ask, Mother, please give me my self-realization. Mother, please give me my self-realization. And you can close your eyes. Once you close your eyes, this energy Kundalini will pass through your mind. Right? Once the mind is crossed, you will feel completely relaxed. And then you will feel a chaitanya or a cool breeze in your hand. Right? You will feel it, but you need to practice it.
Qigong, how long do I have to do it and where do I go?
Well, you can practice as little as a few minutes a day. Some
Yeah.
people will practice longer.
Yeah.
But it is important that you practice regularly.
Right.
That's really what's important. Classes can be found at various places in Legazpi village. People can go to
your center?
the Good Chi Center, and then they can study there Shenzhen Qigong or Shenzhen meditation, as well as Tai Chi and yoga there.
Wow, almost everything.
But you know, what's important is that you develop a personal practice, that you will do this regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes, but that you put your intention, your thought, your heart into it, and then you allow this practice to build. And as you get more benefits or you get more realization, you will then have a desire to either practice longer or to study the practices more deeply.
How about diet and other habits of mine, like diet and eating habits, relationship habits? Do I have to work on those too to sustain and support what I'm doing?
This is a funny question that gets asked of me sometimes.
It's
People
a funny
will,
question.
well, they'll go, Roger, so if you practice Shenzhen Qigong, how come you're so fat?
I didn't ask you that
No,
question.
I've had students ask me this, and I say, well, it's because I live a very abundant life, and I have access to many, many foods, and I enjoy them. There are people who do mind-body practices, such as Shenzhen Qigong, who will gravitate over time toward a vegetarian diet. But it is not necessary. People can eat whatever they want. The thing is that those things that we might consider vices or addictions or bad habits in our lives, smoking, drinking, overeating, when you practice this regularly, these tend to fall away naturally, without effort and without thought. Because as you cleanse the body, you allow the energy to flow more easily, then you have less pent-up or stuck energy that needs to be diverted into these sort of addictive or non-healthy behaviors.
From a doctor's point of view, or from a very scientific point of view, I'm sure Sahaja Yoga also has some suggestions on how to manage your diet. You said you gravitate towards becoming a vegetarian. You gravitate towards it. What creates it from a scientific point of view? I mean, it's fine that I tell myself, hey, it's not good. I've been told it's not good. Yeah. So that's like self-management. But what is the scientific reason for me to choose a vegetarian diet after I practice it? What does happen inside my system?
Briefly, I can't answer all aspects of this because I'm not a nutritionist, but I can say that a lot of our food cravings, our desires to eat food, have something to do with our emotional state. And when our emotional state is imbalanced, it affects our chi in an adverse way. Our energy becomes stuck or blocked. So when you do this practice, you allow the chi to flow more easily, you allow the energy to flow more easily, then you tend not to have these sorts of cravings that are not necessarily healthy for you. Much of overeating, much of poor eating habits are cultural, are learned, but many of them have a basis in our emotions.
Yeah, I've seen people consume chocolates when they're angry. All right, we have a few minutes left for the show. We've done good as far as understanding mind-body practices are concerned. So if you want to say something, please go ahead.
is according to Sahaja Yoga, and actually according to my practice of yoga, there are two sides of a human body. One is our left sympathetic nervous system, and another is right sympathetic nervous system, and the center is parasympathetic nervous system. Now, in the left sympathetic nervous system tends to all our past, all our emotions, all our hankering about all those things which happen in our life.
Like the left brain?
Yes,
like the left brain.
Right. And the right side of the energy, that is a right sympathetic nervous system, which tends to give us our future, all our power of actions, all our dynamic actions, and all these things comes from our right side. Now, if a person either is thinking too much of the past, then that person has to now take something which is more of a protein type. If a person is too much thinking of the future, he is already consuming lot of protein for this purpose. Now he has to take to something which is more to carbohydrates. So according to the Sahaja Yoga philosophy, if you need to be in balance, so you need to balance your food intakes also.
And your emotional state.
So we don't believe in vegetarianism or non-vegetarianism. It depends on what your body needs. So Sahaja Yoga has no restrictions on intake of the food.
Great. Roger, we're coming to the end of the show. You are also the Executive Director of the Society of Organizational Learning, SOL.
Yes.
So we have 1 minute. Can you just give us an introduction, and then we'll have to wrap up the show.
Oh, well, Society of Organizational Learning is a group founded by Peter Sheng, who I know you've had as a guest on this show. And here in the Philippines, we're a group of practitioners, researchers, and consultants who would like to help in organizational change, organizational development, using the tools developed by Peter Sheng and other like-minded people related to systems thinking. We have an event coming up. It'll be of quite of some interest here locally, education initiative called Camp Snowball, to implement educational learning, systems thinking in the grade schools. So I hope that will be something that we'll see something with in the near future.
Would you like to announce your contact details and websites?
We have
to the camera over here.
We have in Sahaja Yoga, a Sahaja Yoga Meditation Center in near Green Hills in San Juan City, and we give free meditation. Also, if you would like to contact us, we give free stress management programs. You need to contact us before, 1 week before, and according to our availability, we will give you free stress management program in your corporate office where people are already stressed up. So it will take around half an hour for stress management. People are free to practice it in their house. You can visit our Sahaja Yoga website as sahajayoga.com.ph. Also, through that sahajayoga.com.ph, you can see our contact details, and you can contact us whenever you like.
All right. How about you, Roger? Camp Snowball?
Well, actually, I would probably go ahead and promote the Shenzhen Qigong website, which is Shenzhen, SHENGZHEN.org, if you want general information about Shenzhen Qigong. And if you're interested in Seoul, you can go to solseoulonline.org, and you can find more information there.
Gentlemen, thank you for being on Expat Insights, and thank you for your wonderful insights. So good evening, and thank you for watching Expat Insights. That was Pankaj Rajput and Roger Simone. We talked about mind-body practices. We'll see you next week, and we'll have guests from Japan. Good night and mabuhay.
Thank you.
Meditate. No? Okay. All right. You're leaving, Howie? Okay, that's fine. I'll just have Oprah on my lap. This is fine. I can do this. Breathe. Okay. Meditate. Got it. Meditate. Meditate. You want to meditate? Come on. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Meditation kiss. Meditation kiss. Oh, you're so cute. I love you so much. Oh, I love dogs. Dogs are so great. Aren't dogs great? Oh, here. Meditate. Breathe. Ah. That's it. I think I got it. I think I got it. Am I done? I'm done. That was good. That was good.